is muted. Get ready to feel
the power.
That's Colin, Crandall, myself, Adam Roorda. This is our 10th season on air. That's amazing, Colin. And we actually do 25 episodes for each season, so we are now at 250 episodes.
Wow, crazy, man. Seems like only...
Well, just under 250.
Right.
But we might actually be over that.
We could be. I was just thinking we did some, and we did a ton of hours. Some of the earlier shows we did 3-4 hours even. One we went almost 5 hours.
A number of hours, man. Yeah, we're probably about
3,000 maybe.
2,000 probably 2,000, would be my guess. 2,000, 3,000. There was a couple that we did over 6 hours.
I think you're right. There were a couple 6-hour episodes. Just amazing. A marathon of amazing interviews and tons of great stuff we have in the archives. So maybe at some point we could possibly even release, or if you guys want to scroll down Facebook, check out our videos, MMA Power Hour. And
and our rankings are all aloof right now, so I apologize for that. I didn't update them, and I'm not going to tonight. Just coming back here from Oklahoma, and
that's right.
Man, hopping all over the place. We're trying to get things done here. We will be in a new location next week.
That's it. Different. Will it look exactly the same behind us? Probably not.
Nope.
So you guys will see.
Nope. We're gonna have a better look, a new look. It's gonna be finally hitting us. I'm a Denver Broncos fan, by the way. Hate on me all you want, everybody out there. But okay, so Colin, yes. What's going on? I've been out of the scene for
a lot of fights, man. Some interesting, good UFC fights and MMA fights, and I guess you have that refreshed already. So the next one is a very interesting one. Two men that have already fought Israel Adesanya. Marvin Vettori's actually fought him twice and did pretty well in both of the encounters, although in the last one maybe did a little bit worse possibly than the first one. I don't know, but they definitely did better in both than Paulo Costa did. But still, Paulo Costa... No, not still. It looks like Paulo Costa is a slight underdog. So because of that, mutual opponent and doing a little bit better, Marvin Vettori is a slight favorite. Both very strong guys, both young guys, and it's going to be an amazing fight. They're really tough guys who can really hit. Costa's an amazing athlete, super strong. Just a good striking game, good takedown defense. Vettori is a pretty good wrestler with good striking. Both of them have some jiu-jitsu. It's going to be a great fight. I don't think I see any way that it's going to be boring. I think sometimes when those two have gone against Adesanya with his style, it can be boring or a little frustrating for some people. But I think this one, not much of a chance of this one being anything but exciting. Some past fights have been interesting. Big fights coming up with some title fights in the first week of November. Colby Covington getting his second try against Kamaru Usman. And most people do feel Usman wins, but I think Covington also is an amazing fighter who's done better against Usman than anyone. As you mentioned, Fedor Emelianenko coming back against Timothy Johnson. Kayla Harrison against Taylor Guardado, who was a guest on our show, I think about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was our last show.
Yep, and then the day before Halloween, Islam Makhachev, and it was going to be against RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos, but instead it's going to be against Dan the Hangman Hooker. And wow, they're not giving the Hangman much of a chance at all. Gee, man, he's a tough guy, but Makhachev, people feel, is like the second coming of Habib Nurmagomedov.
I agree with those odds.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't argue much because Hooker has been kind of winning and losing kind of back and forth a little bit, but he's a very, very tough guy. And, probably would be a big ask for him to beat Islam Makhachev, but 6-1 is big odds to lay. Anyway, Volkov against Tybura, a battle of two very tough Eastern Bloc guys, and they're making Volkov a substantial favorite against Tybura. I'm kind of surprised about that. Not that Volkov can't win that, but I think Tybura is live in that. Glover Teixeira, the title fight with Teixeira against Jan Blachowicz. Again, looking at all the odds on UFC 267, Adam, I'm kind of left speechless. They're making a lot of good fighters big underdogs. And we learned from the last UFC fight that if you're a really good fighter, and you're a 2, 3, 4 to 1 underdog, that absolutely doesn't mean you don't win that fight. And so I think Teixeira is live. I know he's getting older, but Teixeira, I think, is a very live dog against the champ, Jan Blachowicz. Good other fights, Ricardo Ramos versus Zubaira Tugakov. I think Zubaira is also out of that AKA gym with Islam Makhachev. And then you've got a few other good fights, Megamed Mastaev, a lot of Eastern Bloc guys. And before that, we have this weekend's card. But you know what? Our first guest should be ready. Why don't we give him a shout?
Absolutely. Well, he's not online. It's not showing he's online right now. It's Dustin, right?
Yeah. Let me let him know that we'll give him a shout. But maybe he'll pick up if he sees it. Maybe I should just give me a second though to give him a little heads up. And
welcome to the MMA Power Hour, where Colin and Adam go ahead and call people in live.
Yes, it's just to be sure, because we know these fighters are extremely busy, and I'm
gonna have to listen to that little soundbite that I just. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch this just for that.
Hey, Dustin, we will Skype call you in a minute for the interview. Come, I look forward to talking to you. All right.
I can try giving him a call, but we're going to be doing a Skype dance without anything, so let's give it a whirl.
Let's do it.
See what happens.
Why not? Okay.
That's my thought. Why not?
What the hell?
Skype dance. Boom, boom, boom. Skype dance. Skype dance. There he is.
Hey, Dustin, are you there?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
All good, brother. I really appreciate you being there for the interview. We are live, so I'll give a proper intro. We'll be off and running. Ladies and gentlemen, super excited to have this next guest back. One of the most exciting members of the UFC light heavyweight division, the man they call the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby. And I pronounced that right, didn't I? That your nickname?
Yeah, you did, man. The Hanyak.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Now, and I remember it was because your grandmother used to call you and your brother like a couple of little Hanyaks or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's how it came about.
And that was kind of like what, wild and crazy guys or something like that? Probably, is that kind of what that means?
Yeah, we've just been like crazy, acting up, acting out a little bit. She'd call us little Hanyaks, saying we're being a little wild. But yeah, it's an aggressive athlete, a rebel without a cause, and yeah, crazy guy.
That's cool. And your brother must have thought it was amazing that you used that for your fighting name. Probably perfect, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I had another good friend of mine stood at my wedding. He's the one that had came up and was like, "Hey, man, I got the perfect nickname for you. I think you should be the Hanyak." And I was like, "No way! How did you know about that?
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody else say that." And he was like, "I don't know. I just love it." And I'm like, "Dude, you're right. That's exactly what I should be." So that's what I went out to in that first Glory tournament, and all is well that ended well, man.
Absolutely. I think we're missing you in the video for some reason. I think you're just out of the frame.
Oh, my bad, man. I didn't see you, so I wasn't sure it was on the video.
No problem.
We were just doing on the air. Okay.
No problem at all, brother. No problem at all. You're all good. I apologize for that. Yeah, that can be deceptive. It's weird. What it is, it seems like for the interviews, it seems like it's a lot of additional equipment and money for you to be able to see us. I don't know why that happened, but we're going to actually probably overcome that shortly. But this is, for this time, you still won't be able to see us, but we have you on there, and then you'll see it's a good split screen and all kinds of good graphics. But no problem, brother. So you've been having some great fights, and the last fight was a really good victory. I think about a month or a month and a half ago. Remind us, the people watching, who you fought that last time.
Yeah, I fought Darren Stewart August 28th, and it was a great win. First round TKO. The fight went exactly how I thought it would be, exactly how I pictured it. I remember saying post-fight, I wasn't too happy with my performance, but I do want to take that back. I was extremely happy with my performance. I felt like I could have won that fight anywhere. I felt like I could have done anything I wanted to, and when I got the quick TKO at 3 minutes, I just didn't feel like I did as much as I would have liked, but I'm very happy to get the win and climb the ladder once again.
Absolutely. Remind us what gym you train out of.
I train out of Factory X Muay Thai in Inglewood, Colorado. So we are just a little suburb south of Denver.
And that school is really catching a lot of traction over the last 2 or 3 years. A lot of really good people there. And I know, like, for a while, you guys were kind of like training with Elevation Fight Team as well because you were so close. Does that still happen, or is it completely separate now?
Yeah, so we were never really training with them. I guess there would be like open mat on Saturdays, or there was a lot more guys moving around that I guess are now Elevation full time, and guys that were coming into Factory X. But Factory X has been a pretty solid foundation since I've been there in 2013, and now a lot of the guys in the Denver area that are the top athletes at Elevation and Factory X and Genesis and the other gyms in the area, they do strength and conditioning at the same location called Landau Performance. So we don't necessarily train together, but we're getting the same workouts, same facility. And then, yeah, we at Factory X, we kind of keep it there, man, and don't really see any of the other athletes from the other gyms.
Gotcha. Understood. It's good to clear that up. A lot of people don't know. In fact, there probably is no way of knowing unless we talk to a fighter that trains there. Because, yeah, I know that that Genesis and Elevation, a similar situation. I think Justin Gaethje is with one or the other. We talked to him about a year or so ago. And I know Neil Magny's there. Who are some of the guys that help you for your camps usually over there? Do they have some big bodies over there other than yourself?
Yeah, so we did lose a lot of big guys. We've got a lot of smaller guys, but I got one of my main training partners is Josh Fremd. He fights in the LFA main event on Friday night.
Awesome.
So keep an eye out for him. I'll be in his corner. Kid's an absolute killer, man. Big, long, rangy guy. Like I said, fights at 185. And a very good training partner, a guy that's going to make it too. He's going to be in the UFC, no doubt in my mind. He's a fighter's fighter. He's a fan favorite. Another kid, Cody Brundage, who was on the Dana White contender, and he just had a short notice call a couple weeks ago.
Yes, good
in the
fight.
UFC, which he unfortunately lost the decision. Yeah, good fight, but a strong kid, man. He's telling me he's a strong wrestler and a real good guy that I am able to train with on a daily basis. We have Anthony Smith, who lives in Nebraska, but he comes out and does his camps at Factory X. And anytime he has a fight coming up, he's there, 6-8 weeks out and getting prepared. So he's another good training partner. Jordan Williams is another great guy. He's in the UFC. He's fighting November 6th coming up. I'll be cornering him in New York City at Madison Square Garden. So he's another guy to look out for. Austin Jones is another welterweight, and the list goes on, man. But there's several guys that up at my weight class. Another one, Harris, who's going to fight for LFA this weekend too, looking to prove to either 4-0 or 5-0. So we've got a lot of guys up and coming at Factory X, and a lot of guys that are in the UFC right now.
Absolutely, and LFA is a really good league. A lot of people that get through the LFA and do well make it to the UFC. A lot of great fighters, and I know they got a great connection. Do you remember do you know partly why the connection is so good between the two? If you go back to before Mick Maynard was brought over to be the number two in charge matchmaker to Sean Shelby, he was running, I think it was the LFC, and then Ed Suarez was the RFA, or vice versa. And they actually merged their leagues with plans of both of them running it. And as soon as they merged the leagues, Mick Maynard got picked up by the UFC, and it was all Ed Suarez by himself running the LFA. But they remained good friends, and I think they knew each other well. They trust each other, and I think it's a situation where I think the fighters speak for themselves. But with that great connection between Mick and Ed, it's a good platform. I'm sure a lot of guys know in the LFC that people are looking at them to possibly jump to the UFC. Did you ever fight in the LFC, or what leagues did you fight in before UFC? In fact, I think I'm looking. My producer just brought it up, so I don't even have to ask you. You were over. You did Bellator. You did Titan. And then you did one that was called SCL, King of Sparta. What league was that?
Yeah, that was a Sparta Combat League. It's actually a local promotion here in Denver. Jeff Cisneros is the promoter, and a lot. I was way above it. It's just I couldn't find a fight, man. This was 2019. I could not find a fight to save my life. I was trying to get, talking to Mick, and I was done with kickboxing. I wanted to get into MMA, and I was talking to Mick. I'm like, dude, I'm ready. I've been through the ringer. I've been through the ranks and glory. I had a little bit of time off, obviously, from MMA, chasing a world title in professional kickboxing, but got back into the game, man. Couldn't find a fight, so like 8 days notice, it was this local fight. It was a heavyweight tournament, and the first fight was boxing, the second fight was kickboxing, and the third fight was MMA.
Oh, wow.
If you were to make it to the championship.
Wow.
And it was at heavyweight, and it was like 8 days. I'm like, dude, I can't find a fight. I'm like 214. I walk around like 212, 214 pounds.
Very
Nothing
small.
crazy.
Yeah.
And so I even weighed in. I think I was like 211 maybe when I weighed in.
Wow.
And anyway, I had the 3 fights in one night and won all 3 fights. And one of them was Cody East, who was a UFC vet. He was like 15-3 when I fought him, and that's who the MMA fight was against.
Oh, wow.
So it was just an opportunity, man, to go out there and make a little bit of quick cash and go out there and compete, go out there and put on a show for the fans. And that's what I did, man. It was one of the most memorable nights of my career. If you go look up the highlights on YouTube, it's one hell of a tournament, man. It was a good showing.
I believe it. And that got you the spot on the Dana White Contender Series against Ty Flores. And obviously you got awarded a contract there. I had forgotten that you came through the Dana White Contender Series. Did you feel a lot of pressure in that fight, because knowing if you did well that you would get a contract? And then when the fight went to a decision, was there a second where you were thinking, oh man, I'm not getting this contract? Or what was your thought going into the fight and then after the fight?
Yeah, to be honest, going into the fight, it was a must-win fight, 100%. But I wasn't nervous. I knew I was going to win. In fact, I thought I was going to get a 2-minute knockout, 3-minute knockout in the first round, and I fought like that for 10 minutes. And I could not put Ty Flores away. And then I think what one thing I can hang my hat on is I have heart, man. I'll never give up. I'll never give in. And I knew I was ahead. That third round took everything I had because I fought like a absolute Hanyak for 10 minutes trying to finish him. And I wanted to be noted, Ty Flores did test positive for steroids after the fight.
Oh, man.
So maybe that was, it has to be what helped him get through, man. I'm telling you, I beat the living crap out of this kid. And he said a few things in pre-fight, call me this old guy, or he's going to make me look old, doesn't he know why I'm coming back to MMA. It's like, bro, I've been through it to get too. I'm going to put every ounce of pain I've ever felt in my life inside this octagon on your face, on your body. And that's what I did, man. But there was never any doubt. As soon as it went to the judges, I knew I won. And we were also in, the 2020, the year of the crazy madness. Everybody's, fearful. And there's a lot of opportunity, man, in 2020. And I knew that if I did not get that contract that night, that Dana White was going to be giving me a call and I'd get a short notice fight. But fortunately, I got that fight. I got the contract that night, and I had a fight, in October of that year, which I went on to win, and again in February, and then the draw in May, and then my last win. So been on a nice run, man. It feels good, and I'm excited to continue that progress.
Absolutely. You look very impressive. I like the way in that Kutalaba fight that you started to take control like around late in the second after already kind of being neck and neck. I felt you won that fight, although it was close. Did you feel you did, or did you feel a draw was a fair call?
It was very close. There's no doubt about it. One thing I'd love to say, I took that fight on 8 days' notice, straight off of 7 straight days in Mexico. So,
oh, wow.
I was not in anywhere near shape or form I was in August. In August, everybody's asking me how I'm feeling coming off a draw. I'm like, dude, what people don't realize, I took that fight on 8 days. I was out of shape. I wasn't even in shape. And I'm the one that went toe-to-toe with Kutalaba. Yeah, he won the first round 10-9, no doubt about it. Anybody that gave him a 10-8 round, that's just ludicrous, man. There was never close to a finish. I ended the round kneeing him and throwing jabs at him.
Yep.
And, so whatever. It was a very close fight. But rounds 2 and 3, there's no doubt in my mind, the two going toe-to-toe, he knows I won that fight. When we finished, he grabbed me inside that octagon and said, "Hey, and one more thing, you won this fight."
Nice.
And he said that to me inside the octagon, man. So there's two people that went through it. There's two people that know. And now he's ranked in the top. I think he's ranked 15, which is higher than me, but that's all right, man. All in due time. Give me one more fight and I'll be ranked higher than him. And I'm climbing that ranking, man. Like I said, one fight at a time and just trying to climb the ladder.
Absolutely. I mean, it's good that he admitted that you won that fight, and I did think you did as well. So there's no bad blood between the two of you, but do you think it'd be fun to run that one back, or would you like to fight new faces just as well, or even better?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
With a full camp, right?
I would love to. Yeah, give me a full camp. Give me 6-8 weeks. Dude, we're running that back for sure. And there's no doubt in my mind I beat him. I didn't even use my leg kicks. Because I was just worried about getting tired.
Yeah.
And man, I had to dig deep that fight too, cardio wise. I did. I dug deep. I finished stronger than he did, and he knows, man. He was training like 12 weeks for that fight. I had 8 days, so
big difference.
But yeah, if we ran it back, I'd be open to that, or I'd be open to whoever else they give me that gets me closer to the top.
Absolutely, and you got a great training partner. The people you mentioned, Anthony Smith, is so experienced. It must have been great for you to see Anthony get back on the winning track, because I think he's a couple years older than you, or closer, but he's been in the game for so long.
I am actually a couple months older than him. Anthony.
Okay.
We're born.
Right.
Yeah, I'm April '88 and he's July of '80.
Gotcha. Okay, but I think he's been in the game longer. He's got a lot of miles on him, not in a bad way.
So I tell you what, man, we both came up about the same time.
Did you?
We both came. There was multiple times where Anthony and I almost fought each other.
Oh, wow.
Came up the same ranks with Chris Camozzi. There was multiple times Anthony Smith and Chris Camozzi almost fought. Chris Camozzi and myself did fight, and Chris Camozzi, one of my good buddies, just hung out with him last weekend. I mean, so we all came up in the same ranks, man. He was Nebraska, I was Illinois. Chris was out here in Colorado, and we were all 85ers. And there was a couple events that just fell through, but yeah, so Anthony stayed MMA, whereas it seems like I've been away from MMA, but it's because of all the kickboxing I had. So we've been in it. Anthony may have fought maybe a year before me, like amateur, but I'm pretty sure we were about the same ranks, man. Same age, same ranks, went through it all.
Makes sense.
I had my first fight when I was 18.
Wow.
Inside the cage while I was still playing college football. Mm-hmm. And I believe Anthony, I may have been 19 and Anthony was 18. So yeah, right in the same time frame.
How many kickboxing matches did you have?
I had 21 professional fights with Glory, and then I had that one with Sparta Combat League.
Okay, all right, because I know because
So in my pro career, I'm getting close to 50 fights. I think Anthony just had 50 fights.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Okay, so you really have had the same amount of experience. He had a couple. He had a couple of hard fights against Glover Teixeira and against Alexander Rakic, and I think he said something in the Rakic fight that he maybe wasn't super prepared for that, and then Rakic did kind of stall a little bit, on him, and I think he said he really would like to run that one back. The Glover fight, maybe one day, although I know Glover definitely had the advantage on him, but it really seems like he's just gritted his teeth and come back, and I think that's one of the things that you share is just that fighting spirit, not giving up. I think a lot of people counted Anthony Smith out after his couple of losses, and they just said, that's, stay in the booth, right? Stay in the commentary table. But he was like, no, that's not it. Right?
Yeah, man. I love Anthony. I love his inspiration. I love the fight. I love his grit, his determination to be the best. And we're a couple guys cut from the same cloth, no doubt about it, man. We both we've been around the ringer, we've been around the block, and we've been in this game for a long time, and we're still going strong. So I'm proud of Anthony. He I owe a lot of where I'm at right now to Anthony. He got me back in the game, back training for when he fought John Jones back in March of 2019. And so in like November, December of 2018, I'd taken the whole year off. I broke my arm twice. I was just giving me fits, and And I contemplated just being done, calling it a career. And Anthony hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, I could really use your help for the John Jones fight." Mark Montoya hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, we could really get you back in here." And got back in there, got back to training, and then that's when I just took off, man. I was trying to find fights from there and couldn't, but everything happened the way it did, and I owe a lot of where I'm at right now to Anthony. So I'm always happy to see him do well and have success.
Absolutely. So that's the head coach over Factory X, Mark Montoya, right?
Yep.
What is it? And I want to ask you a couple other interesting things, since I know you're mentioning you're cornering a lot of your friends. What is it that Mark Montoya does that makes him so good and makes him better than so many other coaches?
Well, to me, he's just real. He's just you can see the fire, you can see the passion, and I mean, he holds you accountable, man. He's from the very top to the very bottom. He's holding everybody accountable, and he's not just the guy on the sidelines telling you. I mean, he's in the trenches with us, man. He's holding pads for all these different guys. Then when we get out on the mats training, he's moving with us. We're doing jiu-jitsu. He's rolling with us. We're going to strength and conditioning. I'm a morning guy. He's an afternoon guy, but he's in there doing strength and conditioning with the guys. Like he's a machine. He's doing it all, man. So he truly leads from the front, and an easy guy to go to battle with. I mean, you can see the fight in him. That's another thing. If I'm going to a fight, right, I'm walking to the corner, I want a couple guys with me that I know if shit hits the fan, realistically, it's not, of course, you got your occasional McGregor, Habib, chaos right there. But if shit hits the fan, man, I want a guy behind me that I know is going to throw down and be capable of it. And Mark Montoya is that, man. He's just a real one. And I got a lot of respect for him, and he does a great job of leading a bunch of young men and women to be better people and better fighters.
Absolutely, well stated. It is always great when your coach can still jump in there and roll with you guys and train with you guys and exchange punches and kicks and everything. So that is very cool. Question for you. I know that Aspen Ladd is not really a part of your team, but I know she's up there in Colorado. There's been some controversy, some people criticizing her coach and boyfriend, Jim West, in that fight. And I'm not asking anyone to pile on there. I haven't gone out and openly criticized that because I don't think media necessarily should do that. But it is what it is. But question for you. In a fight like that, Aspen got that fight last second in a weight class she never fought against a girl who was bigger than her, stronger than her, used to fighting in that weight class. What can you do in the corner? What would you do as a fighter if you had a friend who was fighting and you could see they just weren't as good as their opponent? Because I think what it was Aspen didn't want to stand in the pocket with her and just get pieced up or knocked out, and she couldn't take her down. And I'd really like to know from the mind of a fighter, not any criticism on that corner, but what would you tell a friend of yours if you're in his corner and you see he can't get the fight to the ground and he's an inferior striker to his opponent? What do you say at that point? It's got to be a really crappy, frustrating feeling.
Yeah, I mean, everything's circumstantial. Are you with me?
Yeah,
I feel like you're kind of breaking up there.
No, I got you. I'm sorry. We're with you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, of course, everything that happens at that moment is circumstantial, right? And you're watching the fight and you're in the corner and you're giving the advice, and you're always the eyes for your corner or for your fighter, right? The fighter's the guy that's in there. He can feel it. But as the corner, you have to really trust them. You have to trust what they're seeing because they can't see what you're seeing, and vice versa. I have to get in there, and I would have been asked her, what are you feeling? What are you seeing? And then I'd go from there, So it's hard to sit here and say one way or the other what you do or what you tell, because every at the end of the day, man, it's what we signed up for. It's a puzzle, and you got to fight to the end and fight as hard as you can. And that's all I would expect as a corner, and that's all that our coach expects is as long as you're giving max effort and you're doing the best you can, that's all we can expect at the end of the day. And it's always one of those, may the best man win type sports. So it's just not your night when it's not your night. And sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
Yeah, very, very true. That is the good saying. Sometimes you are indeed the hammer, and sometimes you're the nail. You haven't had to come up against...
I tell you what, it feels so much better to be the hammer, though.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to be the hammer. It feels so much better.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And it seems like with the talent and ability and heart that you have, you haven't had to be the nail. But a question for you. It seems like the fans in a situation like that, they would have maybe and I know a lot of fans have respect for fighters and media people do, and a lot of people are fine with Aspen doing her best. But I think a lot of fans are screaming that she should have just said the hell with it and go in berserker mode, throwing all kinds of punches and kicks and everything, even if it meant that she was going to get caught and possibly knocked out. Do you think a fighter has pressure on him to do that? Like, does the UFC or matchmakers, or is there anyone that says if you're overmatched in this fight and you're an inferior grappler and an inferior striker, or you just can't get them off their feet and they're a better striker, we'd rather have you go berserker mode and start winging punches and get knocked out, at least trying to do something, rather than have the fans booing and people saying you're not doing anything? Is there a push to do that? And I would think most fighters would not want to do that, although I know some would. What's your thought on that?
I mean, it's just obviously if you're the promoter, you're Dana, or even the guy in the corner, you want to see your fighter get after it. You want to see him do something, right? To find a way to get it done, find a way to get gritty and to put on a show. But at the same time, as the fighter, you're in there. I mean, I guess you can only go as much as you want to go. I mean, ultimately, we all want to perform our best and put the pedal to the metal and get through it. But, again, it's just one of them situations that's every circumstance is different. And if I'm Dana, I'm like, man, I want to see this fighter do something. You want the entertainment. As a coach, you're like, man, I want my fighter to do some things. We can get this win. But at the end of the day, it's just up to the fighter, man. And really, if you're fighting at that level, you gotta find a way to get it done or do your best. So you can't just lay back.
Right. No, that is very true. So coming up, light heavyweight division, man, we just referred to a few minutes ago, Glover Teixeira. I'm looking at the odds on that card, and it's not this Saturday, but I believe that's a week from Saturday. And I'm looking at good fighters being like plus 300 dogs, plus 260 dogs. And I find that weird. And I think you and I, when we last talked, you look at the odds and other fights and like doing commentary and everything, and you're coaching in people's corners. I don't know why they're making Glover like a 3-1 dog in that fight. I understand he's about to be 40 years old, or he is 40, but I think he's only 2 years older than Jan. I think Glover's live in that fight, but from a UFC light heavyweight, as you are, and a top 20 light heavyweight, soon to be top 10. Can you give me some insight on why they're making Glover that big a dog, and what do you think some of the factors are and how that fight plays out, and how do you think it'll play out?
Yeah, honestly, that really surprises me, man. I mean, Glover can always get caught, but he seems to have found his chin. I mean, he's tough as nails. He's incredibly strong. I think he has the edge on the ground and the grappling.
Yeah.
And from a pure betting standpoint, I'm definitely sprinkling a little bit on Glover because there's great value there. I think that's honestly, I think he's going to be the champ. I think that he can knock out Jan, or I think that he can get him to the ground and beat up on him and submit him. So, there won't be any. I won't be surprised one bit if Glover becomes the new champion of the light heavyweight division.
Without a doubt, I wouldn't either, and I think it would be so well deserved. He'll be getting his title shot after like 15 UFC fights or something like that, which is a lot later.
Probably more.
Yeah, probably more, 20 even, a lot longer.
And should have been even way more than that. Remember, he had the big visa issue where he couldn't just get to the U.S. and he couldn't be over here and he couldn't compete. So he could have been fighting the UFC for 5 years prior than when he was.
Yes, I remember they were talking about him for quite a while. I think Joe Rogan back 10 years ago or so was mentioning him, and he just couldn't get over, and then finally he did. And a very tough guy, a Brazilian guy with really good wrestling. You don't see that a lot. You're starting to see it a little bit more with Rafael dos Anjos and Charles do Bronx Oliveira, the champ, but it's cool. He just came over and really grinded over here and had a lot of good partners that wrestled. But that's going to be an exciting fight. You know what I think an interesting fight for you would be? The guy that beat Kutalaba twice, Megamed Ankalaev. He's got a big fight coming up against a top 10 guy.
Oh, the Southpaw Russian guy?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
Okay.
He's got a big fight coming up, and my producer had to step out, so I can't scroll on the board to see, but they're putting him up against someone top 10. I forget who it is, but
yeah, who was that? I can't remember either, but
yeah.
I did have that.
I know, it should be interesting. Maybe, you know what? I have my phone here. Maybe I can find out. Why not? Let me look here. Let me see what I can find out. And this will be good live.
Yeah, heck, I'm not even sure if that guy, how to spell that guy's name or what exactly it is. I know exactly who you're talking about.
No problem. Okay, here he is here. Megamed Ankalaev. And here we go. He's going to be, wait, no, that was his last fight. Okay. You know what? Yeah, well, this guy I think may not be a top 10 guy anymore. He's going up against Uzdemir, Volkan Uzdemir.
Volkan Uzdemir. What's he ranked?
He may not be that high anymore. At one point, he was top 10. But although, you know what? I think he may have been winning recently. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull this up and triangulate here. Okay, there's Ankalaev. And then let's see if it'll pull up the guy who he's fighting. Nah, it's not even pulling him up. You know what though? I think he fought. No, there's not even any same guys that Uzdemir fought. Anyway, Uzdemir's a Swiss guy. He was killing it about 5 years ago, but I think he's had a few losses. But that's a tough guy. What do you think of that guy? He looks like a bigger version of that featherweight Dagestani Zabit Megamed Sharapov. He looks just like him, but in light heavyweight.
Uzdemir, I'm unfamiliar with.
Not Uzdemir. I mean,
I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Uzdemir has fallen out of the rankings probably in the last few years, but he's a tough guy. But what do you think of Ankalaev? He looks like a tough guy, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, no, he's good, man. He's got good movement. He's got a good stand-up. He's a tall southpaw, right?
Yes. He's the guy that fought Kutalaba twice.
He's a Kutalaba, yes. Yeah, I think he's real good. I think he's got excellent striking. Strikes from a distance. He's got good long punches, and he could be a threat. Again, I've only seen him a couple times, but yeah, man, I think he's a pretty good fighter. That once you get into that top 10, there's a lot of good guys, but
absolutely,
we're all chasing that same thing. And then the guy that I think is the most dangerous is the Rakic.
Yeah, Rakic is tough. How about Yuri Prakaska, that crazy guy?
I like Yuri. He's a good fighter, and I could definitely. I think he's up there, getting close to the title shot. Just it's wide open, right, with John Jones gone. So whoever puts on a good show and has a little bit of a following, man, can get that title shot in just a couple fights.
Without a doubt, and these would be some great fights for you because you're.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of fun. Let me ask you. Fans love to see fights that are even. One of the things I think a lot of people don't know unless they've watched fights. I've been watching combat sports since I was like 5 years old, which is I'm going to say 4 decades. I'm not going to say how much more, but right around there, And, cause I'm old. I don't want to let it on how old, but I've been watching them, So one of the things I notice is that people love to see fights that go back and forth, but that's not very common. Usually someone starts getting the better of it, and then they'll win. That's why there's so many 30-27 fights in MMA and so many shutouts in boxing. Someone finally, they get the distance, they get the movement of the other guy, and they're like, okay, I got this, and they win the fight. So it's not that common to see. But one thing I know also, everyone knows a fighter loves to win by a quick knockout and take as little damage as possible. But are there any fighters other than Justin Gaethje that like to be in a war, that like to be in a firefight where you're going back and forth, beating the crap out of your opponent? Like, are you okay with that, or would you much prefer to avoid that?
Yeah, I think myself and I think a bunch of fighters are that way. And like you said, obviously the best um, outcome would be to go in there, get a quick knockout, pain free. I tell my wife all the time and my close friends when we go out, they're like, so, I mean, how do you feel after a fight? I'm like, me, if I can take a shower by myself, like my hands are good, nothing hurts, and everything's fine, I can get in and out. I mean, that's a win to me, man. Getting a fight and getting it pain free. But I think there's a lot of fighters that enjoy going toe to toe. I mean, look at Sean Strickland. You watch those Instagram videos that he puts up; those are pretty funny. Of him sparring hard, just walking straight forward, and which I know he fights at 185. He's number 7 in the world at 185. But when Luke Rockhold fell out, I text my manager, hey, man, if Strickland wants to fight at 205, I'd love to throw down with him November 6th at Madison Square Garden.
That would be awesome.
I think that would be a great fight. Those are two guys that go toe-to-toe, man. But, Strickland's trying to go for that UFC championship at 185, which I don't blame him. It does him no good fighting me. Like he said, he wants to fight a Luke Rockhold, somebody that's going to get him closer to the title.
Right.
Obviously, that's a huge threat to him to fight me at 205. I mean, if I beat him, then all momentum's just taken away from him. So, not a smart fight for him, but that would have been fun for the fans and for him and I, no doubt about it. So, yeah, man, ideally get in and get out with a quick knockout. But if it's going throwing down, look at Showtime Pettis. He threw down Tony Ferguson. That guy throws down the Diaz brothers. Although Nick this last time, man, I don't know. That was good. Robbie Lawler, that guy throws down Savage.
Yes.
So
yes,
yeah, there's some guys that like to throw down, man. I love watching it too.
Absolutely. Just if you had your choice, you'd rather not necessarily be in a war where you're both bobble-heavy each other. Rather have it go one way, as I think most fighters would.
Now, if I knew Dana was going to come in the locker room and write you a check for $1 million, oh man, I'd have one of those back and forth bobblehead fights, no doubt about it. I mean, and it still might happen. I'm always going in there to go for the kill, go for the finish. So I'm willing to throw down, and that'll always be how I choose to go, man. So it'll be fun. I welcome any one of those fights.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, I can't wait to see him. We're going to wrap it up, Dustin. But what's the best place people can follow you on social media?
Yeah, my Instagram at the Hanyak DJ is on there, and same with Twitter. And yeah, man, Instagram and Twitter, that's how you can find me.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you. Big respect. You're one of the guys that I do believe has a super high ceiling in this sport. Just the fact that you come back like Rocky and you're not even usually down much at all. And you're a closer. You're not a rabbit jumping out in the front and fading. You're a guy that gets stronger as the fight moves on, and I think people can always have confidence in that. And that's what a winning fighter is made of. So keep up the great work you're doing, man. Always really appreciate your time jumping on the MMA Power Hour here.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for the kind words, and that's how I plan on fighting every fight. Getting stronger as it goes on. So that's what I plan to do, and then hopefully I can get it on the show after my next big victory.
Absolutely, my friend. We'll make it happen for sure. Keep on taking good care of yourself, brother.
Appreciate you, man. You have a good night.
You too. Take care. And that was the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby. His grandmother called him the Hanyak. I don't know what language that is, but it means kind of like a wild man, crazy guys running around when he was kids. And I love that you have a nickname that your grandmother gave you when you were a kid, and you take
mine was just Bubba.
I love that, Bubba. That's cool. And you take it into your MMA fighting career, and he's a good guy, speaks really well, and a great fighter. So big respect for him. So we are ready for our next guest right now. And
yeah, he's not online. Well, yeah, he is.
Let's
we
do
can
it.
Give him a ring.
Let's do it.
Skype dance. Skype dance. Ooh,
that's
something
strange.
went wrong.
Let me talk to our good associate who coordinated him and say he's not picking up.
Somehow. My Skype just started going crazy a little bit. Still is.
Oh.
That's so weird.
Could that be our end, or should I still let the person know that arranged for
The weirdest thing is happening right now, Colin.
One of the Earth, the reverse polarity and magnetism is going in the.
Yeah, it is something like that. My computer started whenever I open Skype, it just starts hitting 6, and I'm hitting that on my keyboard, and I'm in other windows. Let me see here.
That's strange. Okay, so
yeah, let me try something though. I might be able to. Yep, it's doing it in general.
Oh, look at all those 6s.
Yep.
Let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna assume he's ready.
Yeah, bear with me though. Okay. I'm gonna put this on you. Go ahead and do your thing.
All right. First, let me tell them that we're having the Skype problems. Okay. That we're having. All right. Bear with me, everyone watching me look down at my phone. All right. Ready. Okay, wait. And we'll hit him up as soon as possible. Period. Thanks. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try to make this happen with our next guest. But in the meantime, man, hope you guys liked that interview with the Hanyak Dustin Jacoby. Really, really good, tough guy. He's got a great camp. People he's mentioned there that he trains with and training under Mark Montoya. It means a lot of smart guys, a lot of just true warriors and talented, experienced individuals, and so many fights. I didn't realize he had like 20-some kickboxing fights. So with that, in his MMA career, he's coming up on 50 fights, just like his good longtime friend Lionheart Anthony Smith. Even though Smiths were, I think, all in MMA, and Dustin has had a little bit more than half in kickboxing. But man, he looks good, and I did not know or did not remember he only had 8 days notice for that Yuan Kutalaba fight, where it was a draw and Kutalaba had a full camp. And I believe that being the case, at a full camp, Dustin would be able to show his superiority. And then if he does that, I think he's ready, I think he's ready now, but I think that that he's ready for the really good fighters, and it would be exciting to see him roll that back with the man he had the draw with, Ian Kutalaba of Moldova, I think, or go up against one of these other great fighters. So really talented, nice guy too, and I could see him being a commentator. I think he mentioned that he has interest in that. Always like when a guy is cornering their friends also, even if their friends aren't in the big UFC league and are in the other leagues, and a UFC fighter is still cornering his friend. Big respect for that. Okay, so there we go. Let me see. We're trying him again now. All right, let's see.
He's calling us.
Oh, he's calling us. Let's pick it up. All good.
And I can't see it.
You can't see it?
No.
Even though he's calling us? Whoop.
I need to call him, so give me a second.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Got it.
Let's do it.
We had a little Bluetooth keyboard here.
All right.
There we go. Problem solved.
Hey, Kai, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Sorry for the Skype problems, my friend. Appreciate your patience.
Oh, no problem.
All right, we got your video there. You can't see us, but as long as you can stay on the screen in the frame, then we're all good. All right, and we'll give you a proper intro since we're on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, happy to have this next fighter back on our show again. The man called the Fighting Hawaiian, now with Bellator. Super exciting fighter in the featherweight division, Mr. Kai Kamaka III. How's it going, Kai?
Going good.
Good, man. And so...
Happy to be here.
Good. I'm really glad to have you here, man. I appreciate your time. And so featherweight is where you fought most of your fights, or have you fought some at bantamweight or lightweight?
I think half and half now at feather. Most of it at bantamweight until my second Bellator fight all through now.
Okay, so
most of it at bantamweight, I think.
Okay, and that makes sense because SureDog has you listed as featherweight, and sometimes I think they're purposely trying to mess up other news sources by putting the wrong information. Although at one point you were a featherweight, so either they're doing that or they're leaving.
No. I was a bantamweight, and now I'm a featherweight. Yes.
Oh, good. Though they did good. Sorry for the confusion. That's cool, man. Well, I'll tell you what. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. We talked, I think, about a year and a half ago. You had a last couple of fights that both could have been wins, and in my opinion, both of them should have been wins with T.J. Brown and Danny Chavez. The last fight with Chavez, I was one of many people that was really pissed off. I felt like throwing stuff at my TV. I really did. I'm not trying to bring something up that's going to irritate you, because it is what it is. But I just,
No, all good. I mean,
I appreciate it.
I'm in a good place now. And to me, that's all that matters. I mean, I didn't take steps back, and to me, that's all that matters.
Yep, I like that without a doubt. And so, do you have a fight signed with Bellator yet?
My first fight on this contract is not yet booked. I'm hoping to have that soon.
No problem. It will be a featherweight fight.
Yeah, from here on out.
Excellent.
No chance I'm making 135 again.
No, it makes sense. And how old are you? About 27 now? 28?
26.
Nice, man. Still very young, and it makes sense because you're not going to be getting smaller. I mean, you're either going to be able to maintain featherweight for quite a while, or possibly like 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, you can even go possibly lightweight. You never know, but I would agree. No more bantamweight based on, you knowing what your weight is and being the age you are. So featherweight, the landscape is pretty interesting. Did you see that that the champ, Patricio Pitbull, I think a few days ago, and I don't know if anything has changed since then, but a few days ago, he said he wanted to vacate his featherweight title because he didn't feel right losing a fight. No, he wanted to vacate his lightweight title. Because he didn't feel right holding a title belt when he had just lost a fight. I respect the guy for saying that, and actually that does kind of make some sense, although I don't know if Scott Coker's going to let him vacate that, or what's your thought on that? If you were him and you just lost your featherweight title by stoppage and they're still letting you walk into the ring with your lightweight title as a champion, would you say, nah, I don't really feel like a champion, so I don't want to play this game, or not? What do you think if it were you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I cannot say because I'm in that position, but yeah, I guess it would be. I could see the side of him that kind of is battling some demons, because he lost at a lower weight class. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, some guys you might be at a disadvantage if you're cutting too much weight. So
true.
I don't know. So it could have gone either way.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you would respect it if he were to vacate that lightweight title.
Yeah, I think he did because his brother now is fighting Peter Quilley for the lightweight belt.
That's right. Interesting, man. I bet he hopes his brother wins, and that might have had something to do with it, man. He might have felt. Yeah. You know what?
No, it did. Scott said that at the last press conference that he wanted to give his brother an opportunity to fight for the belt.
That makes sense, and that would be cool if his brother wins. His brother's a tough guy, man. There are so many guys, not so many, but there's a bunch of guys that are fighting, and one brother is always a fair amount better than the other one. And like if you look at Douglas Lima and Diego Lima, and I think even with the Pitbull brothers, and there's a few other brothers, and what would you think, man, if your brother was fighting and one of you, and I'm really glad I can ask you this question because I've thought about this, I haven't pre-glassed this. If your brother was fighting and one of you was way better than the other one, would that be a weird situation, or how do you think it is for two brothers when one is just way more talented? I almost feel like people wonder, why can't the more talented brother just like make the other brother as talented? Couldn't he do something? Couldn't he stay up all night with him training, or have him eat the exact same thing he eats? Or do you think they try that pretty much?
I mean, I can say this firsthand because I do have a brother who does fight, and we are at totally different levels in the fight game.
Right.
But I think a lot of it is due to maybe I don't know, maybe there's things that they don't, or they think it's right there for them and they don't put in that work because my brother's doing it.
Right. Right.
My brother is easily doing it even though it's not easy, it's just my brother can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah, that's right.
Not the case. You know what I mean?
No,
Different.
And you know what that reminds me of? Joe Lozon and his brother. Joe Lozon, you probably have heard of, even though he's kind of almost retired. He had a fight a couple years ago, the UFC fighter in your division from the East Coast, and he won so many UFC fights. He's like almost 40 years old now, and I think is retired. But he ended up winning like 75 or 80% of his UFC fights and had a great career. And his brother, I can't believe I've even forgot his brother's name. But his brother gave it a shot, but they used to argue because I think the younger brother did not want to really train hard. He didn't want to sacrifice. And I think he did just think that if his brother can do it, he can do it too. And so
Yeah,
I never thought about it. Yeah. But as a brother, I guess you can't force your brother to do something, can you? I mean,
No, I say this as a brother who was trying to force or is trying to force my brother to put in the same work, think the way that I think, eat the way I eat, and just put in the work that I do. So yeah, I know it's definitely tough.
especially like younger brothers. It seems like younger brothers are used to you telling them what to do when you're kids, where they almost kind of have to listen, and then all of a sudden when they're 18 or older, then they really don't want to listen, you know, because they figure you've been telling me what to do all the time, and now I'm not having it. And it's too bad because, you know, I'm a big brother. I got two little brothers. All we have is our brother's best interest. As big brothers, all we want is the best for them, right? You know, but sometimes they don't see it. It's interesting. So this is a good thing, man. This featherweight division is exciting. They've got some really good fighters. They just had the featherweight tournament that AJ McKee won. Were you surprised that he beat Pitbull like that?
Not really, because I mean AJ McKee, he can do. He's shown to be so athletic, and just keep wowing everybody out. I mean, you know, so it's like hard for us to be like, oh shoot, that happened. Because I mean, AJ McKee proves that he's so athletic, so diverse, that he can make anything happen.
Without a doubt. Now, he's a little bit older than you. I think he's 27 or 28, somewhere around there. Maybe just 27, I think. And he's like about 5'11", and I think he's finding it hard to make featherweight. In fact, I think he wanted to have the rematch with Pitbull at 55. And originally Pitbull had said, let's do it. And then Pitbull said, no, we're not doing that. And I think that would have probably a good decision on Pitbull's part. I think if you let AJ fight Pitbull at 55, probably the result is the same. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. But the same could be for Patricio. Maybe him cutting too much weight is putting him at a disadvantage. You know, I don't know how Patricio is at 45, but could the coin be flipped when he goes to 45? You know. That is true.
That is true.
So I don't know. I don't know that situation, but I know if you cut too much weight, it could be a detriment to you as somebody who's wrestled in college and who's obviously came up for 135.
Absolutely. So, can you name some of the guys at 145 that you would be excited to fight in Bellator?
I don't know, all of them. I mean, some guys, but there's two that I wouldn't be too excited about. Is Jeremy Kennedy and Mads Burnell. It's two of my main training partners. But I mean, some guys that I'd like to, you know, like that would be, I'd like dream of matching up with is like Henry Corrales. That's one guy that, you know, who's always like just chomp at the bit and kept going forward and performed well this past weekend. I can only hope to fight somebody like him.
Yeah, and I know we had Johnny Campbell on, and Campbell has a couple of wins there. He's a unique guy. What would you think of a fight with him?
Shoot, I mean, if you follow the way I do my career and make decisions, I'll fight anybody on any notice. So
absolutely,
I wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. So, what team do you train with? And are you in Hawaii mostly, or are you training somewhere here in the mainland?
For the past 11 months, I've been at Extreme Couture, but I usually train. My team at home is Lion of Judah with my cousins. Most notable one is Ray Cooper. He's my main guy, so yeah.
Yes. Awesome. We had Ray on the show about 2 to 3 months ago. Really good guy. I like him, and he's got a huge fight coming up. Are you working with him for this fight? Although he's won is he 170? He's 170.
He's 170. Yeah, I usually do work with him, but I'm not working with him for that fight, for this fight, but I'll be flying out there next week, Tuesday.
That's going to be amazing. That's a tough matchup. They fought once before. That's one of those Russian grapplers, but Ray is confident. He's got that fight, and but that should be a hell of a fight. I'm sure you feel confident in Ray. What can Ray do? You think right to beat this guy? And obviously you don't have to give away any secrets, but what do you think we're going to see Ray do that is going to allow him to win that fight?
He's just gonna be a lot more composed than the last fight. A lot more measured and more tactical, and yeah, not so emotionally vested in getting the finish right away. And I think if you see Ray, I mean, he can hit anybody anytime and knock them out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a measured and tactical Ray. I mean, I gotta give it. I'm always gonna roll with that guy.
Yeah, he's got better hands too, and he is a good wrestler. And so that is going to be a good matchup, and that's for the $1 million prize over there in the PFL. And then the other match is going to be another Russian guy against Chris Wade. What did you think of Chris Wade beating Bubba Jenkins? And do you think Chris Wade can beat this Russian guy?
I mean, I think after that last fight, or just the past couple of fights from Chris Wade, I think he showed that he can. He can. You know, he has something that a lot of guys. I mean, he has something that can bring him all the way, is his willingness to not give up and just, you know, keep pushing. His cardio is obviously at a different level than a lot of these guys. I think he had a better cardio than Bubba Jenkins, and I think with 5 rounds, why not go with him?
Yeah, and he's an underdog, so there's some value in making the bet. He had come down in weight, and he just looked bigger than Bubba Jenkins in that fight. How much do you think that played a factor in that victory?
Like, I think some guys, it can be better. I mean, cutting weight could actually help, you know, get them mentally more disciplined. By the same time, cutting weight can, you know, be a double-edged sword. But I mean, maybe for him, cutting weight will make a difference, help him be more disciplined in his camps, put in more work, more miles, and just be zoned in. So I don't know. I think Chris Wade can get it done. I think he gets it done if it's in round 4, and with that 4th round, I think there's a good chance Chris Wade wins his first PFL world title.
That would be interesting to see. You know, I'd love to see exciting fights over there. I like the fact that Bellator is coming up and PFL is coming up. I think that, you know, the better that PFL and Bellator do, the more fighters are going to end up being paid, because fighters will start going back and forth. And one of the good things with Bellator is you can wear your sponsors on your shorts coming in for the fight and everywhere else, right?
Yeah, that's something I'm very excited to start doing again.
Yeah, that will be awesome, man, because in all honesty, like, I don't know if any media ever tells you this, but I'm a media guy that happens to be a fan for many years. I've trained in jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, never was even close to being an MMA professional fighter, so I never try to lie about that, but I want you guys to do well, and I really want you guys to be paid better. And so it excites me that Bellator is letting you guys get sponsors, man. I hope you light it up. I hope you kill it with sponsorship. You deserve it, man, because I think you are one of the more exciting lighter weight fighters out there. I was asking our last guest, Dustin Jacoby, who is a top 20 UFC fighter, about the type of fights he likes. Now, you know, Justin Gaethje was always known as a guy that was fine going in there and just making it a war. He added some head movement and kind of started to fight smarter. But some fighters love to go in there and get in a war, like the Diaz brothers and other people. Fans love to see that. But I know as a fighter, your family would rather have you go in there and win easily and take as little damage as possible. What's your personal feeling? Is there any fun in having someone who's just as good as you in there and beating the crap out of each other back and forth? Or would you really rather avoid that if at all possible?
I mean, yeah, I'd want to, like, for those reasons, I would want to ignore that for my family's sanity. Yeah. But to me, a fight's not a fight until I meet my equal, and then I gotta test my will over his. So I mean, what if that means being tactical and grinding it out, just being the smarter fighter, and or being fan pleasing and slugging it out. Either way, I'd rather fight somebody just as good as me, if not better, to prove to myself that I belong.
Absolutely. Now, boxing kind of does it different. If you were in pro boxing, your first bunch of fights would probably be against someone like me that you could win in 10 seconds. And because then you can get 10 wins with 10 knockouts. And then,
right,
the next 10 fights, maybe you could fight those guys' brother, who will take you 1 minute to beat. So I know, though, that a lot of times having fighters come in and fight guys that they're going to lose to, a lot of people say isn't smart. I had a fight manager say, you want a manager to care about his fighters. Like if they bring someone in to a league and all of a sudden in their debut have them fight the number 12 guy or something, it really isn't that smart, and it's not even that responsible. But let me ask you, in Bellator, they do sometimes have an idea when someone's got the potential to be a star. And yeah. I think you do, and I think they know that you do. Would you be bothered if they brought a guy in there that you can kind of beat, even if you didn't get any sleep the night before, and even if you were exhausted and had 100-degree fever and were sick? Or you'd probably rather not have that, but would you deal with it if that was the case, or would you be kind of not happy and upset?
I mean, I come to fight, so I want to fight, and then to fight. A fight to me is something is competitive, and so yeah, I want competitive fights, but at the same time, I see what they say. I see what they're, what some guys might be.
Kai, did we lose you?
There's ways to build guys, but
go ahead. Sorry.
You also have to. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha now.
I mean, there's ways to build guys, but I feel like you gotta be able to. The guys gotta be tested. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. The guy's got to be tested. It makes sense. Yeah. I think you've proven yourself. You really don't.
Yeah. I feel the matchup. Sure, it has to, you have to build. You can build somebody, but they still gotta be able to lose. You know what I mean? That's not a fight if it's not. So
yeah.
I mean, I see building it stylistically as a matchup where could favor, but the guys, there has to be when you see crazy odds, it just doesn't seem right. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's true. It's almost minus 2,000. I know Aaron Pico kind of was given the opposite. Aaron Pico had all this potential and all of a sudden was given guys that were too good for him, but now he's come back. Is he still a featherweight or is he lightweight?
Featherweight.
Okay, so.
But at the same time, I think during that situation, they weren't too good for him. I think that Aaron Pico was totally capable of beating those guys.
Yeah.
It just at the time maybe he wasn't as mature, to make certain decisions in certain spots of a fight, to where it put him in bad spots and taking losses. But I mean, they weren't mismatches. You know what I mean? It was just those guys are much more seasoned at high level fights, to where it cost him. He slipped in certain situations.
I agree. In fact, I think he's about your age now, Pico, I think. And he had some of these fights when he was 21 and 20 and 22. And that's one thing that I say, everyone would love to be 22 and in the top 10 in Bellator or top 10 in UFC. It usually doesn't happen that way for a reason. Is when you're 20, 21, 22, you just don't have that much maturity. It's really rare that you're going to find a 22-year-old beating a 27-year-old or even a 30-year-old. And I think a lot of people don't see that, and they love to cheer for these young guys, but it's just asking a lot. How easily would you beat yourself at 22 today?
Oh, I would crush my 22-year-old self.
Yeah.
Just off of the fact that it's the in-betweens that I've gotten better at. The in-betweens that a lot of people don't see, feinting, all the just making reads, that kind of stuff, and I'd be able to break my 22-year-old self, regardless of how tough I was.
Yeah, it makes sense. Just the experience, it just means a lot. It really does. You know what I was thinking was interesting? Back about 15 years ago, there were a lot more small leagues. Like now there's LFA, but there was like, you know, King of the Cage was around in a bunch of smaller leagues, so a loss didn't really mean that much. Now no one wants to have a loss. But I remember a fight where one guy was really good, at least for the regional level, and he was fighting another guy who had probably no business being in a cage. And the one guy was really beating the other guy pretty badly. It was really a mismatch. And then the one guy who was winning got down in the middle of the cage, knelt down, and tapped out. And the reason was he said he couldn't continue to beat this guy down like that. He just felt like this is just a wrong situation. And he was like, nah, this fight has to end, and I can't damage this guy like that. Now I know nowadays you can't really have a loss, although that's kind of a cool, compassionate thing to do, or what do you think? Is that just stupid or crazy, or could you kind of see the thought for that?
Yeah, I could see that, but I mean at the same time you got a job to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's not your fault, but at the same time, that's the promoter's fault. So
yeah.
I mean props to him, but we got a job to do, and that falls back on the promoter. That kind of matchmaking.
Yeah, like remember the Tony Ferguson fight against Gaethje when Gaethje was hitting him like 150 times with power shots, and Ferguson, the guy's like got a will and a chin of iron. It's just amazing. It was almost like he was a zombie. But in that last couple shots, he was like shaking his head so that he could try to see clearly. And I think that last time the referee finally saw that and said, no, this is bad. But I mean, it's the referee's in a tough position because, you know, you don't want to stop a fight early, because then you get all kinds of criticism and people are angry, and you maybe stopped a guy from coming back. But do you think that fights maybe should be stopped sooner if it's clear that it's a mismatch and someone's just getting smashed? Or do you think that kind of the rules have to be like they are, which is if you're getting smashed, either you better just fall on the ground or tap out, or you better just step it up, because we're going to keep on letting you get a beating?
That's like one of the toughest questions you can be asked, because somewhere like that, I mean, Tony Ferguson was getting the brakes beat off of him, but at the same time, somebody like Tony Ferguson would be the guy that turned it around.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't only have that standard just for high level fights, right? Because these lower level fights in the UFC or outside of the UFC is what's gonna make these guys could screw up somebody's record because let's say you stop fights too early at a low level.
Yeah.
But then at the high level you don't stop fights. But like, what if these guys at the low level could have got better cardio, could have turned it around, but then you stopped it early? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, because some people are proposing, what you're saying is not good, which is that if it's a guy like Tony Ferguson, if it's a high level, let it go. But if it's a regional promotion or like some guys who don't have a lot of experience in their UFC debut, stop it. But then you're right, if they made it a different, sort of criteria, that might not be good, because then it's, some guys will have not given the chance to come back. Then it's almost like two sports. It's almost like you gotta have to call it almost like junior varsity fighting with one rule set, and that really wouldn't work.
I mean, amateur level gotta be. I would say amateur and pro different.
Yeah.
Amateur level, yes, not make they're fighting for free. Yes, you gotta stop those fights sooner. But the pro level has to be a standard all the way across, because what if Tony Ferguson is that guy that at the regional promotion, and you don't let him work through those situations, but he is that long end guy? You know what I mean? He's like, oh, but you're not fighting UFC, or whatever, so it's not. So we got to stop. We should have been stopped.
Yeah. You're right. You got to kind of make the rules uniform, and it's a tough situation. It really is. You got to be. But one thing that I heard, you used to see years ago in the UFC someone throw in a towel over the cage. I think they actually don't allow that anymore. And so I think that if it's between rounds, your corner can stop it. But if it's in the middle of the action, I don't think there's any way your corner can stop it. It's interesting because in boxing, if you're in someone's corner in boxing, if you step up on the ring apron, which is right outside the ropes, if you step up there during the action, your fighter's disqualified. And so they actually have the ability to step up on there and start yelling, "Stop this fight! I'm telling you, I want this fight stop!" And I'll put my foot in the ring if I have to. And they see that and they say, "No, this fight's over." But I don't think the corner has that ability. It's like or am I wrong? Have you heard that there is some way a corner can stop a fight during the action if they want to?
I think the only way is to throw in a towel. Is that...
Can you? But you never see it. Because I think I read somewhere that they don't even allow that anymore. Because the referee in an MMA fight might not even see it. And then what if the towel goes on the referee's head or something like that? I think they don't allow it. That's why you never see it anymore. So that is something that I'm curious about, right? Because I would think that the corner should have some ability to stop a fight during the action. Or do you think they don't necessarily need to have that right? You just have to trust the referee.
I think you gotta have a right. I mean,
yeah.
Because they know their fighter better than anybody, So, that's why they're there in the first place, is to be there in the best interest of their fighter.
Yeah.
And the referee is supposed to be in the best interest of both fighters.
Right.
I feel like the corner's job is to be in the best interest of their own fighter, but then referees there for both fighters. So I think you need to, because it's just, that's kind of weird. Like, then why do we have corners?
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right, because it would be very unfortunate. It would be because
fans already yell out instructions. So.
Yeah, you would think
they don't have the capability of knowing their fighter and making those type of decisions, then why are they even there?
Yeah, I agree. They have to have the ability. It's just so weird because you virtually never see it. But then I guess a lot of fights are competitive, and maybe no one's taking damage, or if they're taking damage, they just fall down or something. It's just the last thing I'll say, and I know we got to wrap it up in a few minutes, but. You know how they say it's like nobody wants to tap to strikes. And a lot of fans who have never trained will ridicule someone if they tap to strikes. I mean, it's literally almost like a stigma, don't tap to strikes. And it's kind of too bad, because I remember they used to say in MMA, unlike boxing, you can tap out with dignity. And in boxing, you can't. In boxing, basically, you have to, if you can't stand up for yourself, you got to take the beat down and pretty much get knocked cold or have your teeth knocked out and your nose broken, and then that's it. Whereas in MMA, you can tap out. But then there's all the talk about never tap out to strikes. Have you ever heard that, or do you feel as a fighter has to embrace never tapping out to strikes, or do you think in certain situations it should be okay?
I mean, I don't want to get too I don't want to make this like a more political or whatever, but it's like, I wouldn't tap to strikes, but not saying I wouldn't tap to strikes. It's like I would keep fighting, like moving, in a sensible manner. I think I could be able to, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm saying this from a start. Like, I've been in situations, I've been in sparring sessions, I've been in fights. I feel like that where I could easily I've just stopped fighting, and like just tap the strikes, but that's just not in me. That's just because I feel like I think I feel like I can learn. I'm learning from myself in that moment, to keep going, to overcome those situations, to even overcome and win situations,
Right.
And win the fight. But at the same time, I mean, if a guy's getting, I don't know. I cannot see myself tapping the strikes.
No, understood. Would you be angry if someone else did though? Probably not, right?
Not. Nah, I could care less.
That makes sense. That's good. That's a good answer. And hey, sorry for the tough questions, but I know that I always try to come up with good ones, if that's all right.
These are. I mean, if it wasn't a tough question, why am I
being interviewed?
What kind of question is it?
I appreciate it. I'm glad you appreciate it, because I respect you guys a lot, and I figure that a lot of times someone's interviewed and there's someone saying, what kind of dog do you have, or what's your favorite pizza to eat? And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like asking you guys dumb stuff that no one cares about. So I appreciate it. I'm glad that you like the hard questions.
No, I mean, that's good, because you'll learn more about us as specifically as that fighter,
right?
And then I'm gonna be learning why I do certain things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so a lot of questions are rhetorical. I mean, not rhetorical, but like repetitive.
Yes.
So it's like, what you could have seen this in another interview.
Right. Exactly. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it that you like the questions. Well, I appreciate you, Kai Kamaka. It is interesting because you're a winning fighter. You're a tough guy. You've got that Hawaiian fighting spirit. So I thought it's interesting to ask you a couple questions that probably will never apply to you personally, but it makes you think, right? And that's always a good thing, to have a good conversation.
Yeah, because I mean, like judging, like one, like this is not, you probably didn't even ask this, but like just my thoughts. Like I do think these kind of things through. Like as far as judging, we maybe we should as for judging, to have a better understanding of how judges judge, or their criteria, is maybe having like a yearly or annual live stream that we all get on as fighters, that these judges or like a board would speak on what is their criteria, and at least we all have a better understanding, whether we like it or not. We have a better understanding of how commissions or the rule set of how to win a fight,
without a doubt. And then the judges could learn from you guys.
Yeah, or judges could learn from us, but even more so if that's not even an option,
right?
Okay, these commissions, they have meeting, or they have a briefing to what is their criteria. Okay,
right.
Whether we like it or not, this is the criteria, and this is how we have to fight within this rule set to win. Now I know,
absolutely,
regardless if I like it or not, and how I am, or the type of my fighting style.
Right.
This is how I have to win, or this is how I have to train to win, going forward.
I agree.
Instead of it being so inconsistent every week.
I agree.
You don't know. If it does go to a decision, we don't know what's gonna happen nowadays.
Yep. I agree.
And then they're like, yeah, and then you'll be online and you'll see like robbery, and they'll be like, oh, it wasn't a robbery, it's a close fight.
Right.
Yeah, but it still could be a robbery because a wrong guy got the decision in a close fight.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's still possible.
No, I agree. Kai, we got to let you go in a minute, but man, I agree with you 100% there.
Thank you.
I'd love to see fights judged better. I know that in my opinion, you've won your last 2 in a row. Most people feel that way. Either way, we're so excited to see what you do in Bellator. I know you're going to kill it. Let me know when you get something signed, man. We'll have you back on to help promote it.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
Awesome. My pleasure. Have a great night, brother.
Thank you, buddy.
Take care. And that was Kai Kamaka III, a man who really should still be in the UFC. You know what, though? I hope he'll make more money in Bellator with sponsorship. But the bottom line is he had a split decision loss and a draw, and then didn't get booted from the UFC. They just weren't moving quick enough to re-sign him, which is really a shame. Which is really a shame. But, it is what it is. But he's going to kill it in Bellator. I can't wait to see it. Okay, let's see if we can get that third guest. And if not, we'll get our alternate guest. Let's give it a shot.
That's why I was signaling, because I see he's actually on a computer.
All right, let's see if we can make it happen.
Maybe he isn't.
He may not be on the computer.
Nope, he's not.
He's not. Should we just go on to?
Yeah. Let's just get a hold of Justin here. Unfortunately,
Let's do it, brother. We'll Skype call you in less than a minute.
Cool.
Right.
Well, he's probably going to receive that after, but well.
All right. Let's do it here.
Looks like he's having the same not online thing.
I gave him a backup call time for 7:30, so that was only 1 minute ago. So he may be just getting ready. And let me see. Okay, let me just check because I know he will be there.
I'm gonna shoot him a little smiley face. Right. See if that helps. How about that?
That would be good. But
everybody tuning in, thank you so much. Whether you're on Fight TV or the Hannibal TV or on one of our own social media platforms, make sure to give us all the likes, comments, shares, tweets, retweets, everything you can. Help spread the love. We appreciate you guys in advance for that. We are partnered with Lith Token, as well as we've got crosstrainmmafighter.com, an amazing t-shirt line for all of you MMA fans. Just saying you're a fan, or even if you're a fighter, it's some of the highest quality t-shirts that you can get on the market. Colin's actually wearing one right now. You can't see it, but I'll get over there and move the camera so that way you guys can check it out.
That would be cool.
When we have our next guest on.
Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate that a lot. Definitely good quality. We are going to do another run sometime early next year. As of now, we just have smalls and medium left, and I can make some deals if you want, normally anywhere from $20 to $29.95, and hit me up. We'll see what we can do, but really great quality stuff. I want to thank people who jumped in during our last few interviews. John Tomasi mentioned that they're fighting at 185 now.
No, that's an old,
it's an old
chat stream. For some reason, it's keeping the old ones up.
So that's not from tonight.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I don't know why that's even showing.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I know that the Hanyak is not going to be fighting at any 185 anytime in this lifetime. So,
right.
Although the fact that if all of a sudden he could on short notice against Sean Strickland,
from 3 weeks ago, Colin.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah. Thank you for the old comments. But anyway, so our alternate guest, should be coming on here hopefully any minute. But we can't blame him because he's helping us.
Well, we can't blame our other guest either. You know,
no,
supposed to have him on, and just some form of miscommunication with his management. Unfortunately, it seems like they
thought that it was
mixed up the days, and then just caused confusion. So
yeah, because we clarified it. We just let you guys know we do everything we can to make sure that everyone knows when to come on and follow up and everything. But once in a while, a manager gets confused. They think it's a certain week. They can't get a hold of the fighter and things. Yeah.
I mean, there's no blame being pushed anywhere. It's just it is what it is.
It is. We just never advertise anyone hoping they're going to come on. We advertise people with a commitment that they will be on that specific episode. So when it doesn't happen, it is frustrating, and we just don't want you to think that we're just taking a shot in the dark. And not only that, but it has happened on occasion. But in all honesty, I think we have a really good record of almost 5 years of programming where literally maybe 15% of the time the guests don't make it on. 20 at most. So we're doing way better. I've seen some shows that it's 50-50.
Oh, I mean, come on. Ariel and what's his face had a falling out basically just because of how difficult it was to book guests.
Yeah.
And hey,
it's frustrating.
We haven't had a falling out though, and I don't think we ever will. So that's one thing that separates us from others, because we just know it's just it's just not easy. With these fighters and the ones that come on, we're so thankful.
We really
and those of you tuning in, listen, we're thankful for you as well. Just getting viewers is not the easiest thing on the planet either. So you guys are absolutely amazing. Like I said, hey, when you guys get a chance, head on over to lithtoken.io. That is LITHTOKEN.io.
That's it, Lith.
Check it out. It is a cryptocurrency that I'm actually helping develop, and it is centered around environmental social governance. It's the idea of decentralizing something that a lot of progressives put into place back in the I think it was the 50s, 60s for investments, and it's kind of been manipulated by a lot of businesses and a lot of government officials, and what we want to do is decentralize it so that it's not so manipulatable.
Yes.
And yeah, it's worth checking it out. It's lithtoken.io. That's LITHTOKEN.io.
And if you get involved with that great Lith token IO, you won't be having to write IOUs to people for all the money you don't have.
Well, I don't know. I'm not making any promises.
No
It's not about investment. It's about adoption and the utility that we're building out. So
exactly. Instead of NFT, you could say it's a Nifty. It's got NFT in it. It's a Nifty investment.
No.
You don't want to say that either. Take it as your own risk.
We're not doing NFTs like other people. I mean, we are doing. We're utilizing NFTs, but we're doing it for supply chain purposes. So it's a little different than what everybody's used to, and it confuses people when I say NFT. We're actually using, even my own developers that I work with, when I explain what I'm trying to do with an NFT, they're like, "What?"
Right.
No, it doesn't really click because everybody thinks it's a collectible, and that's not necessarily what I'm doing or what I'm building.
Right. But one thing we are sure about is that MMA fans that love MMA, we know you understand supply chain like the back of your hand. So you are in the right place. Well, some of you might have no idea what it is, but you're so we got supply chain here in mass. Like, this is supply chain.
I mean, if you order food, you wear clothes. If you have glasses, you order any product or service, the supply chain is involved. So
yes. Now I know that our Secretary of Transportation feels that there's the economy's doing so well, that's why the shelves are bare in the stores, and so I think that
has nothing to do with supply chain issues whatsoever. Oh wait, yeah, it does, and that's what we're trying to fix.
That's it, but it isn't because the economy's doing so well that the shelves are bare. That's for sure. But anyway, although our great transportation guy, Mr. Pete Buttigieg, felt that
whatever.
He felt it was.
Whatever. Well, hey, Colin,
I'll be the judge of that, Buttigieg.
I'm gonna give him a try one more time.
Let's try it.
And if not, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay. Oh, we can wrap it up maybe with a quick.
Yeah, we can do a quick breakdown. Yeah. Boom. He's not online.
It's too bad. Well, he was already a few hours ago, but I always give more.
Time zones probably had something.
Well, you know what it is. I give extra consideration to someone that has kids, because when you got kids, your kid comes first. If they're crying or they're feeling their stomach's upset or they got to do their homework and all of it comes unexpectedly, you got to do it. You have to. So I'm imagining that he's doing something with his kid or something happened and he's
probably. Oh man, is he still making those amazing videos? I haven't been on social media too much lately, other than business pages. So is he still making those fun videos with his?
Oh, I love those. Not that often. Not that often. Not that, because he has, this guy is like the best relationship.
Him and Jason Lederfein, those two guys have.
They're the best. They're the best girl dads out there, I think.
I think so too.
You got to give them credit, because nowadays,
at least on social media, they are.
Yeah, this is true. Nowadays with athletics, I mean, for sports and for general health, it's such a better time for women. Years ago when I was young, girls were discouraged really from participating in the gym class. They hated it, and guys would throw the utility ball at them, and basically girls were found that when they grew up, you either had to try to be rail thin and starve yourself, or you were overweight and unhealthy. And it's just a better time now that sports are there for women. Women's sports, you can have a career, make a good living in women's sports, although there's still a little bit of inequality in that, but that's probably because of the fans are not willing to pay as much for tickets. But nevertheless, I'm really happy for women that being healthy and fit and involved in sports and working out is the norm now, instead of the outlier and rare woman doing it. So big love to women out there that are taking advantage.
Speaking of women in sports, we've got a matchup here that I'm actually excited to watch.
I am too. Man, oh man, our friend Justin Adams, who's the coach of Randa Marcos and manager, and he is a jiu-jitsu black belt and former fighter and amazing guy, also working with Kevin Holland and Jessica Rose Clark. So Randa Marcos got really ripped off in her last fight, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to say I'm the gospel, but most of us feel that it was a foul and she was starting to turn the tide, and the other girl backed out of the fight, knowing, literally, I think she asked, if I can't continue, what happens? And I think the judge actually said, well, you'll win by disqualification. And then she pretty much like, oh, good, I can't continue. And it's just unfortunate. But what is good is they're giving Randa Marcos a chance here, which is probably her last chance. But I think she wins this fight. She's actually a slight dog here, but I just believe that she's going to come back, the veteran that she is and determined she is, and Randa Marcos will win that fight. Livia Renata Souza is a tough Brazilian, though, and but it's going to be a grind. They're going to both put it on each other, and I think Randa Marcos is going to take this. Interestingly enough, Livia Renata Souza's back is a bit against the wall as well, so I'd rather not see anyone lose their job, but this is going to be a fight that it's really important for both to win. And then also on the same card is Jessica Rose Clark, Jessie Jess. If we go up, well, actually, we have Jessie Jess. We also have Kama Worthy, our friend, the Death Star. Kama Worthy came out of nowhere, last-second replacement, beat Devontae Smith by knockout, and then had another 2 good wins in a row, and then was kind of thrown to the wolves and had a couple of hard losses. And now he's back to try to get back on track. He's a slight underdog. I believe in him, although I know Jai Herbert is a tough guy, so that's going to be a great fight. Then we have, going up even a little bit more, we have, there we go. We have Jessica Rose Clark against Jocelyn Edwards. Jessie Jess is the favorite. She looks like she's coming into her own. Aussie. Love the Aussies. And she is going to be fighting hard. I think she gets the win. Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres is a dog against Seung-Woo Choi. Tough fight there, but you never know when Bruce Leroy can pull it out. I'm a big Alex Caceres fan.
I was just going to say, I'm going to take him as a dog pick.
I think he's got a chance. And then Grant Dawson, man, talk about a killer. The guy's like 26 years old, 27, just killing it. I think he's won his last 15 out of 16 fights. And I think he's in the top 10, or if he's not, this will put him there. Should win against Rick Glenn, although Glenn is a rugged, tough dude. And the main event, man, oh man, can Florida get sticky? As the late Elvis Presley would say, this fight is in Las Vegas, so it doesn't mean it doesn't relate to Florida. But look at that fight, Adam.
Vegas doesn't get very sticky. I mean, well, we don't need to go there.
No, but that fight cage will be sticky with sweat, because these guys are going to beat the brakes off each other. I mean, it's really interesting. Both are very intense guys. Paulo Costa, other than the Israel Adesanya fight and maybe a little bit with the Yoel Romero fight,
I actually like Paulo as a pick on this one too. I think he's a beast. I think he stepped in against Israel a little too overconfident and too soon. Paulo Costa is a beast, and I do see him taking Vettori. I think the style is much better for Costa than Adesanya.
Yeah, for sure. It's a guy, they're the same height, and Costa actually might even be a half inch taller. They have Costa at 6 feet and Vettori at 5'11", although in the UFC that could even mean that Vettori is taller because of just a gaffe or a mistake on that. But either way, there's not much of a height difference. Vettori is actually younger by like 3 years, just 27. I think Paulo's 30. Still both very young men. Vettori has the better wrestling, but Paulo definitely has the better striking, and they're both very strong guys. Vettori normally loves to talk trash. He's, I met him once and he was very pleasant in person. But against fighters, he likes to talk trash. He's a young guy. He's a tough guy, passionate guy from Italy, and a lot of great fighters and passionate, tough dudes from there. He's mentioned that Costa isn't his favorite guy, although they don't have bad blood between each other, but he just needs to go in there and beat him down, and that's what he plans to do. So I don't know that there's going to be a lot of trash. I mean, there can be. They both speak English at about the same level. But maybe not, because one guy's native language is Italian and the other guy's is Portuguese, so maybe there won't be a lot of trash talk here. But if anyone would do it, it'd be Vettori, and Vettori is getting good at I think Vettori might know more bad words and derogatory sayings and trash talk in English than he knows the rest of English. You know, he said I honestly think he's at like a high school level of trash talking English, and I think he's at a junior high school level for just regular conversational English, which is
more like elementary, but yeah.
So
No, that's going to be exciting and interesting for sure to watch that one. At the end of the day, I have Paulo. I think he's going to come in with one of his powerful knockouts.
He's going to want to, man. Can you imagine? What has it been, a year and a half since the Adesanya debacle that he's had to deal with that? He's got to be ready to just redeem himself and smash. But then,
he needs that ring rust was his problem in the first place.
Yeah,
now he's going to have it again.
Now he's going to have it again. It's going to be interesting to see. It really is. And you know what? That's, Vittori's much fresher, but then he's lost to Israel twice. But he didn't lose.
Costa is coming back with a vengeance. So
he really is. I think he could. Yeah. He could do it. And then PFL is going to be the following Friday, or is that this? Yeah, no, that's going to be.
No, it's next week.
Next week, Thursday or Friday. I can't tell which day that is. But 26th is Thursday, so that's a Friday. Kayla Harris. Wow, they're not giving Taylor Guardado, the guest on our show 3 weeks ago, any chance. One of the things that I think.
That's a Wednesday.
No, I don't think so.
The 27th.
Is it?
Today's the 19th. Tomorrow's the 20th. So you add 7 days. So yeah, it's next Wednesday. It'll be the day after our next week's show.
That's good. I think Taylor's got a chance. Taylor's been one of the better wrestlers and one of the stronger women that Kayla will have fought. But the one thing that is a concern that Taylor mentioned on the show is she does feel she's really a true 145er. And this fight is at 155. So Kayla has made 45 though, so she's not necessarily going to have a huge advantage, but Kayla could come in 8 or 10 pounds heavier, which can mean something. But yeah, either way though, I think Taylor Guardado has a chance and is going to make a fight of it. Ray Cooper the third. Wow, they have the Hawaiian, the dog, and he's a training partner of our last guest, Kai Kamaka the third. Ray is a tough guy. And I think that Ray is gonna win that fight as a dog. Anyway,
and you got Clarissa Shields. Also
on the
fighting,
same card.
On the same card. It's a pretty big card between those three fights.
And then Chris Wade, because Chris Wade against Kabalayev is for $1 million, and Cooper against Magomed Karamov is for $1 million.
$2 million night.
And Kayla Harrison against Guardado is for
$3 million night. Yeah. Awesome.
Or I believe it is. I may be wrong on the Kayla payday. I think it is. I think I'm right. These are all the end of the tournament, so it's going to be a big payout there. I know the PFL is hoping for some exciting fights, and I think they will get them. And you know what? Carlos Jr. and Hamlet maybe. I think several of these are $1 million payouts. Yeah, because this is the finale of the PFL season from 2020 to 2021. So yeah, and then Julia Budd making her debut in PFL against Caitlin Young is a big favorite. Julia Budd.
I understand that one.
Yeah, it makes sense. Caitlin's tough, but she's getting close to 40 years old and has been fighting literally for 20 years. A lot of miles on her. Julia Budd is only 2 years younger, but she doesn't have
one of our first. We've had him on a couple times. Jordan Young.
Yeah,
I like seeing him in there. He deserves this.
He's a tough guy, tough young guy. Akhmedov is a beast, though. They've got Akhmedov a substantial favorite against Jordan Young. I hope Jordan can do something.
If Jordan comes out and does something there, that's going to be a game changer for his career.
Yes, it would. And not only that, what's interesting in this fight is Clarissa Shields is going to be able to be seen in the same place in the same night as Kayla Harrison. I'd love it if they had them face off. I know that in Bellator, Scott Coker does that. He brings the person that you might fight next in the ring to face you, although sometimes it doesn't go well when that happens.
I don't know that they'll do that with those two personalities. They're both very strong personalities.
It'd be fun if they did.
Hey, Colin, it's been an amazing night of a couple interviews here, and unfortunately we didn't get that third guest, but hey, it happens.
Yep, it does.
Everybody that is tuned in, make sure to check us out on the other platforms that we're not on. That's Fight TV, the Hannibal TV, and then our social media. Scrolling across the top of the screen. Make sure to also follow MMAPowerHour.com. And when I say follow, go ahead and sign up for the mail list. We're not even sending stuff out right now, but we do have a nice big mail list of over how many people is it, Colin?
Like 30K.
Yeah, about 30,000 people, a little over that, and we are going to be getting stuff out here shortly, just updated content regularly. So you guys are all amazing. Thank you so much, Colin. For myself, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for another amazing episode. And everybody out there, I'm tapping out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Adam Roorda, for all you do. Us going on late, by the way, guys, was my fault. Traffic was bad, but it's still my fault. Dr. Adam Roorda was already here to go live at 6, so I apologize for us starting at 6:08 or 6:10, but really appreciate you guys. And so I want to do a good proper wrap up here. It looks like this is the last time in our studio here that you see now. It's been a treat. It's been interesting. It's been an experience. We've had a couple years of shows here. In fact, maybe even almost 3 years of shows here. And so this has been our home for a long time. But you know what? Moving on to bigger and better. And we want to take you all with us and more. And so let us know, anybody you'd like to have us get on the show. We will do our best. And any topics or any suggestions you have, we are open to any and all constructive criticism. Anyway, that's about it. I want to say, look out for yourself. Treat yourself kind and gentle as your relatives and loved ones would want you to be treated. Sometimes we really beat ourselves down, and during these hard and uncertain times, you want to not do that. Try to be good to yourself. Shout out love to people that maybe you haven't talked to for a while because you've been so busy, and let them know you've got their back. Take good care of your parents, your kids, your family, your friends, your coworkers, even and your neighbors. Spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy, be that girl. Most importantly, take care of your pets. They count on you 100% and give you unconditional love. So go ahead and do that, and it'll come back to you a million times over. For the entire team here at the MMA Power Hour, Dr. Adam Roorda, I'm Colin Crandall, and for tonight, I'm tapping out.